Hey, welcome back. In the previous video, we have seen function. Function is a predefined functional interface. It accepts one argument and produces the result of any type. In this video, we will be saying function chaining. Now, what does the function chaining means? It means combining multiple functions into single one. So let's say I have two functions. The first one will remove all the paces from string, and the second one will make a string uppercase. So if I want to apply both the functions on my string, I will just combine it using function chaining concept. And there are two methods to do the function chaining. The first one is andThen, and the second one is compose. So now we will see the andThen method. It returns a compose function that first applies this function to the input and then applies the after function to the result. You can see the definition below. It is returning one function and it accepts one parameter after. And in the example, I have given f1 and then f2. So first f1 will apply to the input and then f2 will be applied to the result of f1. The next method is compose method. It returns a compose function that first applies the before function to its input and then applies this function to the result. You can see the definition below. It is simply returning one function and it accepts one parameter before. Now in the example, I have given f1 compose f2. Now here f2 will be applied to the input first, and then whatever result come, f1 will be applied to it. Now you will understand the difference between both the methods, right? There is a little difference between andThen and compose, and it is just order reversal. So in andThen, f1 will be applied to the input first, and then whatever result come, f2 will be applied to it. In case of compose, f2 will be applied to the input first and then f1 will be applied to the result of f2. So we will see examples of it in Eclipse and you will understand it better. Okay, so I will create one class and I will give it a name test. Let me add main method. Okay, so we will see two examples. In first one, the order will matter, and in the second one, the order will not matter. We will use both the methods in both the examples so that you can compare these two examples and you will understand the difference between it. So let's see our first example. So here we will be taking one string as an input parameter, and our function f1 will remove the spaces from it and function f2 will make it uppercase. So let's write our function. Import it from java.util.function package. Since we are expecting string, so be string and the result will be string only. I will give it a name f1. Now here we will be writing lambda expression. So if you want to just revise how can we write lambda expression for various methods, I have created a video for it and I will give its link in the description or I button. You can just check it and you will come back to this step. So we will be getting str string as an input parameter, and str gives str dot replace all, because we will be replacing all the spaces with empty string. Okay, our f1 looks fine. Now create another function and string only. I will give it a name f2 and now f2 will make a string uppercase. So str gives str dot to uppercase. There is a ready-made method which will make a string uppercase. Okay, now our f1 and f2 are ready. So we will take one another function, and it will be a compose function of f1 and f2 using andThen method. So let me write one comment here, andThen. Okay, so the input will be string only, and here string, let's give it a name f3, and here f1 and then f2. Fine. Okay, let me add one simple sysout statement, and here we will invoke the apply method on f3 so that we can pass the input string, and we will be using the same string that we have used in the previous video. So okay, and here we will be writing our compose function for f1 and f2 using compose method. So I will write a comment here, compose, and create one function. It will be of string. I will give it a name f4, and f1 compose f2. Okay, save it. Add the similar sysout statement here. Just make it f4. Okay, now we are ready to run. So let's see that we have taken two functions. The first one will remove all spaces, the second one will make string uppercase. And at line number 14 we have taken one function which is a composed function of f1 and f2 using andThen method. And at line number 19 we have taken a composed function which is a composed function of f1 and f2 using compose method. Okay, and we are just printing the output by passing some input parameter. Here we have passed one string with spaces and it is in lowercase. So I will save it and we will run it. Okay, you can see the output is same. So for both the sysout statement the output is same. But does order really matter here? Because either you will make a string uppercase first or you will remove spaces first, it doesn't matter. So whatever string you are passing, if you remove the spaces first and make it uppercase later, or make it uppercase first and remove the spaces later, it doesn't matter, and that's why we are seeing the output as the same. But when you are playing with numericals, the order matters, and we will see our next example where order really matters. So let me create one class. I will give it a name test2, add the main method. Okay, so here we will write two functions. The first function will take an input as a integer and it will produce as a result a square of that particular integer. And second function, it will just add 2 in that particular integer. So let me write function. So here input will be integer type, and since we are getting result as a square, it will be integer type. I will give it a name f1, and here the lambda expression will be I gives I into I, because we want a result as square. right? F1 looks fine. Let's create a function 2. So integer again, integer. Okay, give it a name f2, and here we will be simply adding 2 to the input parameter, I plus 2. Okay, now our f2 and f1 are ready. So here we will be creating a compose function using andThen method. So function integer, again integer, let's give it a name f3, and here f1 and then f2. Okay, add the similar sysout statement, and we will invoke the apply method on f3 so that we can pass the input parameter, and we will be passing, let's say, 4. Okay, save it, and now here we will create a compose function using compose method. So function integer, and we will give it a name f4. Now it will be f1 compose f2. Okay, add the similar sysout statement below. Let's make it f4. Okay, now it looks fine. So let's say we have created 2 functions. The first one will return a square of the given integer, and second one will return a result as by just adding 2 in that particular integer. And then we are taking a compose function using andThen method, and then we are taking a second compose function which is f4 using compose method. So let me clear the console. We will first run and then I will explain the output to you. So run as Java application, and you can see the output is different. So first we will check it for f3. Okay, so as discussed in the theory part, when we are using andThen method, the f1 will be applied to the input first, and then f2 will be applied to the result of f1. So what f1 says, it will produces the square of particular integer. So we are giving input parameter as 4, so square of 4 will be 16. And what does f2 says? It is simply adding 2 in the input parameter, and the result of f1 will be input parameter to f2. So 16 plus 2, and the output is 18. Okay, now this is for f3. In case of f4, as we have discussed in the theory part, when we are using the compose method, f2 will be applied to the input first, and then whatever result come, f1 will be applied to it. So f2 says I plus 2, so we are passing I as 4, so 4 plus 2, 6, and now 6 is a result of f2. Now f1 will be applied to the result, and I gives I into I, that means 6 is I here, and we will be getting square of it. So 6 into 6, 36, and that's the output. The first one is 18 and the second one is 36. So hope you understood. Just remember one thing, that andThen and compose method have just one difference, and it is order reversal. So in case of andThen, f1 will be applied to the input first, and then whatever result will come, f2 will be applied to it. In case of compose, f2 will be applied to the input first, and whatever result come, f1 will be applied to it. So just a order reversal difference. So as we have seen the first example where order does not matter, you can use anyone, it doesn't matter. But in case of numericals or any use cases where order matters, you should be precise using andThen or compose for function chaining. So that's it for this video, and we will see the next concept in upcoming video.